canceled, we call 4 times that day. And now we're getting a hold of them. Before, we would just go through all the expireds and canceled. And so I've changed that. So now she's getting hit with these people that I've had 35 calls, forget it, hang up. And I'm just saying this part of the process, she has to learn and be able to jump up and be able to be an authority and be able to, say what she needs to say without them hanging up. If they hang up, we call back the next day or whatever. But and the reason I did this is because that's what Autumn does as well. Yeah. She, during the first couple of days, she'll call a couple of times a day on a new expired or canceled. And I think it's a good way of doing it.
Gail, what do you think her biggest challenge is?
Being able to think on her feet.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And so Rebecca, seeing, because that's for all of us, all of you outside sales agents that are listening to this as well. I mean, ultimately, the idea is, we're trying to get everybody to the point where they can think on their feet better. But that's the coachable moment here. Okay.
Yes.
So the trainable moment here is something else, right? The trainable moment is something else. Trainable is always, and actually the trainable moment is my floor for coaching. Okay. So what I mean is, I'm telling you, I agree with her in a coaching moment that you need to be able to think on your feet better. And the first step to doing so is come back to your training. Come back to your training. Come back to your training. Because what you do in this call is you cheat the training. You don't do it. You get discombobulated in the heat of the moment. And what you default to is something other than the training, which is why you get shot so quickly. Very militaristic. And that's why I want to make that clear. It's very militaristic. That's the way that this looks. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you just go in there and you say, Mrs. Calabretti, and then just take over. You're really asking the question to almost get her locked into place. It's not even to really find out if it's her. If she says no, if she says yes, whatever, keep rolling. Your training says, Mrs. Calabretti, bop, 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 right. You know what I mean? It's just start firing the gun. Just fire the gun, because you only have about 7 or 8 seconds to get out the first value proposition. This is very important for everybody to understand this. The reason we're doing this is because we have something valuable. And if we were to go back and listen to this call, you never are able to articulate that you have anything of value. You simply leave yourself as an interruption, valueless. A valueless interruption. An interruption with value, oftentimes the door opens, obviously, right? You follow?
Yeah, yes, I do. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Being able to think on my feet and then just snap right back to the training is where I've been, I guess, weak. But this is helping, so thank you.
Yeah,
well, she will get strong.
Sure.
The law of averages.
Let me go to a coachable moment beyond the training. What are you worried could go wrong?
Yeah, okay.
What are you worried could go wrong?
I'm concerned that I'm not talking to the wife, or I'm concerned that I'm talking to maybe the real estate agent instead. I have had a couple of calls like that, or upsetting them, really. I don't really want to upset people. I'm trying to help them.
Yeah, okay. But the very fact that you're worried about upsetting them is upsetting them.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah,
the very thing, the coachable moment for you, is the very thing you're worried about you are causing.
Because she's not doing it with authority. And we say when I hit the golf ball into the hole on the we say, wow, she did it with authority, because it rammed in there and went around. And that's what she needs to remember, that who she is valuable because of what she's giving them. And so she just, I don't know, tell it to yourself every day, however you want to do it. I write stuff on my yellow pad to remind me when I'm doing calls to stay with the yellow brick road and to make sure that I have authority. And I love that word, because Rebecca has a lot of authority, but somehow she shrinks. And so she's going to learn not to do that, because what's going to happen, I'm putting those people back into the mix again, because I know what she said, and she just needs to get better.
Well, here's how you, Rebecca, here's how you learn to not do that. You ask yourself at a deeper level, why are you tripping over yourself? That's something logically you learned in the first week. It's the same question I'm asking everybody on this call. Why is it that once we crack a code of value? See, first of all, I will tell you this, and I don't know if Jen Swalick's on today, but one of my new agents who's doing very well. I emphasize to my agents that, look, you're running off to do, social media or this thing or that thing, and you haven't done and focused on what I've trained you to focus on, then you've made a mistake. The very first thing is, what makes you valuable at each step of your value ladder? What makes you valuable to somebody that doesn't know you especially? See, a lot of you are stuck doing business just in your very small pond, meaning people you know or people that they know. You're stuck there. You know why you're stuck there? You don't know what your real value is, right? Whoops. Hey, guys. Sorry, Fahad, you had a fire hydrant going. I mean, a fire engine going. So fire hydrants, I'll be okay. So the idea is, Gail, Rebecca. Let me come to Rebecca now. Okay, Rebecca, let's go all the way back to fundamentals. What is the value proposition that you're calling about? Explain it to me in a narrative. Don't give me the what you think Gail and I want to hear version. In your heart, you want to serve. You just said that. You want to serve. So what is the value proposition that we have taught you so far in your mind's eye?
Well, I'm here to guide people to help them sell their house or help them buy a house, and connect them with Gail, who's the expert who can do that.
Okay. Okay. So you're here to guide them to what?
Guide them to help the process of listing their house or buying a house, depending on if they're a buyer.
Stop. Everybody hear how Gail and I have failed Rebecca? It is not perfectly clear to her or any of you at this moment that that's a failing of guidance and coaching, okay? And let me just, I'm going to emphasize it. When I say failing, we might just have not had enough time. But everybody's getting so caught up in their heads about all of this noise, you don't even know why you're calling. Because that was an example of it. You really don't know why you're calling. You are calling a seller, any context, from the home evaluation to the probate to the FSBO to the online evaluation to the referred seller from a friend. It doesn't matter. That first outbound call to somebody is so that you can get a plan in their hands that will help them be successful. And on top of that plan, you're going to give them a little starter package of properties around them that have sold so that they can begin to give their own insight to their own situation. Period. Repeat what I just said in the best way you can. Go ahead, Rebecca. Try it.
Okay, so the reason I am making that outbound call in the first place is to get a package that will help guide them to listing their house and to give them properties that sold so they can see where they're at with their property in relation to the other houses in their area.
Okay, follow me again. The number one thing that you are trying to get in their hands is a plan so that they can sell their house successfully. Not list it. Listing is part of it. Okay? To sell your house properly, you need a plan. And I have one for you. With or without Gail, my job is to get this to you because I am desirous to help you be successful with or without us. Period. You're trying to go too far and it's sounding mushy as it stretches. Because instead of being concise like Autumn says, and Autumn, needs to understand this value proposition too, because she's not fully connected to what I do. She hadn't been in the field yet, right? So we're waiting for COVID to pass, where I'm going to take Laura and Autumn, and they're going to sit on either side of me and walk with me and shadow me so that they understand fully each level of the value ladder. But if I come all the way back to the beginning, we have developed a plan that is universally necessary for anybody to be successful. When I say that, it's not hubris. It is an extraction of how any house gets sold. There are stages that we go through to be successful in selling it. So we have put that in a plan. We have productized it, turned it into a magazine-like format, and you have this piece of gold in your hands. Now, to customize it and personalize it slightly without seeing anything other than what you see online or hearing from them online what it is, you desperately want to get that to them to help them. Do you follow me?
Yes, I do.
Try again. Try again.
So, all right. So my job is to make sure that I get a plan to help them sell their home into their hands, regardless if they go with us or not.
You got it. You got it. Do you think that would be valuable to somebody?
Yes.
Why?
Especially if they've never, maybe they've bought their house, but maybe they've never sold a house before. Or maybe they have, but it's been a long time and they don't remember all the working pieces that help support them successfully selling their house. So yes, it's very valuable.
Rebecca, if you really wanted to serve somebody and Gail and Danny gave you permission to give away our best stuff for free, wouldn't that be a pretty good setup for you?
Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. What I'm telling you is this plan is our best stuff. I'm going to tell you what the next level is. There's more levels to it, but foundationally, the simple fact that we have taken this process, productized it, and put it in order. I can't tell you how many times, and Jen Swalick said it the other day on the call, when we sat with her friend Beth, after she had expired a couple of times, she said, how come nobody told me this before? So everybody's rushing. Everybody's in a hurry. Nobody wants to give the seller a plan. And oftentimes, they're letting themselves be steamrolled. They're letting themselves be bullied. So let me tell you how you should deal with somebody like that. Hold on. I don't want to do anything other than get this plan in your hands, but just want permission to mail it to you. May I do that? Grab the bull by the horns. Practice. You think on your feet by practicing with the toughest people. Even if ultimately it's the rejection, you need to begin to eliminate yourself as the problem. But you're not attached to the fight. You're not attached to the value. In fact, you couldn't articulate the value. But don't worry, I have coached people in this very group for 8 years. When I asked one of them back 6, 7 months ago, why should they list with you? As I was trying to help her get into the listing business. Well, because I have Those are all necessaries. If you don't have integrity, you're not even in the arena, right? If you don't have professionalism, you're not even in the arena. You can't start to rattle off, this is to the rest of you, you can't start to rattle off this generic stuff. You have to say, the reason you should at least begin to consider me is because I have put a plan together that with or without me, you will need. And I want to get that to you. Now, as a little extra, if you tell me what you think your property, you think it's worth, I'll also layer in some of the details, pictures and details of properties that have sold around you. That's a wonderful starter package that if we never do another thing together, I have at least got you thinking and moving in the right direction. May I do that? If you don't get an enthusiastic connection to that, this will continue to happen. And that's why it happens to anyone new, veteran. This is why the snapback factor happens. People always snap back to defaulting to, well, I have the best resume. Ugh. It's ugly, even for the veterans. It is ugly. Nobody cares about your resume until they know you care about really helping them. And the way that you really help as a guide is you give a plan. Imagine, Rebecca, we go whitewater rafting in Colorado. And we go down to the edge of the bed, and there are 5 companies all lined up. And they want to all take you down there. Well, hey, dude, I'm a lot of fun. And, next one says, well, look, we're just going to, you're going to have to follow me, and we're going to have to. And the other one says, look, before you choose any of us, why don't you just take this plan? Here's what it looks like. You have choices on the rapids that you can go down, and there's a variety of ways that you might want to handle this. Why don't you take a look at this before you choose any of us? Boom, to the top of the class immediately, because everybody else is taking. Why do you think it has been so easy for us to find a formula to break through all the noise? Home evaluation, right? I mean, there's another example. Rebecca, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. I'm calling you because I noticed that you came to my website and you were looking for an online home evaluation. So it's the same tone, same voice, same pace, right? So I just wanted to make sure that you gave me I got the accurate information. This is your address. This is what you thought the price range was. Is that right? Wonderful. What I'd like to do is send you out some information that will help you figure out the exact price. Of course, without me seeing it, I can't really zero in. So I'm going to start off by sending you 5 or 6 properties around you that have sold, full with pictures and details. I'm also going to slip in my 7-step plan, because figuring out how to get the best value for your house and what it's really worth is more of a planned process than just looking at some of these comparables. Okay? So I'd like to send you that. May I do that? Well, of course, they're going to say yes. They just asked for it. By the way, why are you thinking about selling your house? Well, the job just happened, or I'm not. I was just curious. Whatever. Now I go to the next value. Well, geez, I mean, that's a pretty big reason to move. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you? I'm a 10. Well, what I could do, here comes the next step on the value ladder, is instead of just sending you this information, if you'd like, I could have Gail bring it to you. And what she would add by being in the house is more clarification on what the true value of the property would be in this immediate market, since you sound like you might have to sell. And she could also go over a net sheet to show you what you walk away with. Would that be helpful? So we're just disconnected from the value of this phone call and what can be offered. So one of the books I'm rereading that I've read before, thank you, Tony Legendry, for getting me back started, talks about a value ladder in any business. And I can feel in this coaching program that you're all disconnected from that. And a lot of the producers, the core people, they forget what this means too. When we walk into your house with all of our experience and we have our plan and we have some pictures and details of competing properties, and we walk through that house with you and we give you our professional opinion on how to customize this for yourself, do you know what that's worth? That could be worth tens of thousands of dollars in not making a mistake. It could be worth months of time and delay. This is a huge freemium step up. And that shouldn't be lost. This isn't just some realtor walking through for fun, making stuff up. This is a pro walking through your home with a plan, interpreting and adding their insight and giving it to you for free with no obligation to list with them. See, all these words, free, no obligation, have watered down the true value of this freemium step ladder. I could just send you the information and it'll be better than what anybody else sent you, because it's a plan with the beginnings of how to customize it. But if you'd like me to come over, I can add my insights that really matter. Not I've been doing it for 20 years and I'm top producer. No, I can come to your home as a professional with experience, and against the visual, I can backdrop it against the plan and suggest what I would do if it were my house to maximize dollar and truly be ready for the market, even if you're not ready today, but you do have to do it soon. You get that narrative, Rebecca?
Yes, I do. I really love how you present it, and I appreciate the tone that you have, and the reminder that I got to keep my tone of authority through the whole process, no matter what they say at me.
Let me go to another step of tone and what's behind mine. Okay. Remember, I do this too. I'm not just a teacher. In fact, I'm a teacher second. I'm a doer first. I make my mistakes. I refine my training and my system, and then I share with you. So I am really enthusiastic about what I just said. It's sort of like that Tom Cruise, moment in what's the movie where Jack Nicholson is talking to him. You need me on that wall, right?
Few good men.
Thank you. A few good men.
Few good men. Yeah.
When he's on a stand, right? Although he turns out to be the bad guy because he goes a little too far. You need me on that wall. right? Believe me. Don't put me in there with everybody else. You need me in your house. You don't even have to hire me, but you need me in your house to give you this freemium. That's enthusiasm. That's belief. That's sincerity. That's honesty. That's all those things I don't need to state because they're in here and they're coming out on what I'm about to give you. Throw me out. I am so detached from the outcome at this point in my career, you don't have to list with me. You might say, geez, he was over the top. I don't even know if I can handle him. But man, was he valuable. Awesome. I left a positive footprint in your life, right? Gail's laughing because she and I probably share a lot of people. What's that?
Oh, God. The enthusiasm, yeah, it's really important to have. And it's number one trait of a great personality and an outstanding one as well.
Well,
so,
it's a law of success, according to Napoleon Hill. It's in the book,
course,
Law
yes.
of Success. When he spent 20 years studying Rebecca, Napoleon Hill, a reporter at the turn of the century, gets access to, Carnegie, and Carnegie gets him into all sorts of places, Henry Ford, etc. And he comes out with a formula for success. And one of those laws of success is enthusiasm. Now, I know why we can't express enthusiasm in a business context. With a lack of training, you don't understand value proposition. That's a very fundamental thing in business. If you don't feel attachment to the value of what we're offering, this planned guidance. Anybody can guide, but we have planned guidance. And then we layer in our expertise in interpretation. Okay, 2 major steps on the ladder. Huge. Those are big deals, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Makes perfect sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for being in the the hot seat. Yeah, Dino, did you want to add something to that since you piped up and saved me with my reference, my movie reference?
No, I saw the movie like a month ago and just hit me right in the head.
Yeah.
That's why it was easy for me to remember it.
Yeah, but as much as he goes too far, he was probably right. You need me on that wall. You need me to make
You're
these
right.
decisions.
I'm looking at all of Autumn's comments in the chat, and she's nailing it. Like, listen, these people don't realize it. It's like we talk about on the Thursday calls. There's a difference between want and need. Everybody wants what they want now. They don't realize what they really want are the things that they don't understand that they need yet. And that's what they talk about. And I'm looking at her words, and I see the word need in here at least 2 or 3 times.
The other thing is that we're not just calling like most of the agents saying, oh, I want to list your home or I have a buyer. We're offering a plan. Again, we come back to that, but no one's offering that. And so if they say no to it, then they're not our avatar. But if they understand fully what we mean by a plan to help them sell it, whether we list it or not, everybody wants it. I want it.
Yep, and that's it. They have a problem. We have a solution. We're not saying that we're the solution. We say we have a solution. Look at it. And if you feel that we're the right person for the job or you're interviewing for it, the only ask we're going to put out there is that we would love the opportunity to interview for the job. And that's it. And you've got to own that.
Yeah. Well, and you have to own why it's so valuable to them because they're not enthusiastic. Say, look, and again, Gail just said something that made me think about the concept of how do you tie in avatar? It's not like, oh, boo-hoo, we didn't get what we wanted and we bail out. You're not playing my game. You're not agreeable. You're not coachable. That's not a boo-hoo moment. It's more so you come to that recognition that there are so many people that need help. We simply can't help everybody, right? We can't help them all. So, hey, Fahad, can you quiet your mic down just a wee bit? Oh, I got it. Sorry, Fahad. Or Fadi, that was you. Sorry, buddy. Not Fahad.
Fadi.
So I looked quickly. Sorry, boys. So the idea was that avatar is we're listening to see, are you going to let me help you? But there's a point at which we are the problem. And in this case, weird thing to say to you, Rebecca, you were the problem because you never were able to get to her by sticking to your training, this concept of value. So you were your own problem. Let me put it that way. So we don't even know if she's our avatar yet. We could explain her away and say, oh, and she was a jerk and she hung up and she was mean. No, her husband Mario threw the phone at her, frustrated her. Okay. And she was mad at him. You have the scenario there, probably pretty high probability. So now all of a sudden you get down there and we explain her away. Well, she wasn't our avatar. We don't know that. See, this is why in the training to slow it down in slow motion so that when it's sped up in real time, these anecdotes will come back to you in lightning speed and you won't even know what's happening. So you remember that what happened was we lost the law of authority. We lost this enthusiasm for, I'm the law. You need me on that wall. You need this plan. Whether you hire Gail and I or not, you need this plan. Let me get it to you. If they still reject you after you get that out, then it is not your avatar for some reason. One, they probably don't have a big reason why to sell it, and or they've gone back with their original friend, realtor, whatever. Okay, so the why to do it with anybody else is not there. Next, now you see that they're just completely unagreeable, maybe in a heightened emotional state. They're not, they're probably not, if they're not agreeable in this first conversation, they're definitely not going to be coachable. You can hear it in this coaching call too. If people aren't agreeably in an attitude, a place where they can be part of this and they want to fight it, what am I going to do? I can't even get to your anecdote, listen to Mario. If you're not agreeably going, okay, I'm open to an approach like this, and I got to stop doing it on muscle. So those are real things eventually. But there's this big gap where we are the problem the minute we enter their home, the minute we call them, the minute we write an ad. We're it. And we have to bridge that gap up there to make sure that we have used all this enthusiasm to express fully what's in it for them. And if we don't, we need to go back and work on that. Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I think as we're going through the calls again today, and upon reflection of what was going on in my head at the moment the call was happening, I really do think that part of the reason why I got thrown off is that when I called back, as opposed to treating it like it was a second call, or instead of treating it like it was a first time call, and this was the first time I was speaking with her, I mentally linked the calls together as if it was one call, as if he had actually handed the phone to her. And so instead of falling back to repeating the script, which I successfully delivered in the first call to him, I didn't do that with her, and I should have done that. I think that's where I got really messed up.
This is a really important point.
I linked the calls.
This is a really important point. Watch how we segue it into what everybody asked me about the next call. Let's just say you go perfectly through the first beats. You get the package out. May I confirm the address? Yep, that's it. Go ahead, but I've got to run. Okay, no worries. So you can't get to the second beat. Oh, by the way, why are you thinking about selling it? It does look like a beautiful house. If you can't get there, now there's no difference. Remember what I said. Try to really remember this. You might want to write this down. This is like an accordion. We train on a system that should be like an accordion, meaning we can stretch the thing out or we can squeeze it and be tight. Think about the value proposition. If somebody says you have an elevator pitch style block of time with me, get in the elevator, we got 8 floors, you got about 30 seconds to tell me. Well, I would just break out the plan and say, you see these 7 steps right here? Everybody, including you, you're going to go through this. And I have a way and an understanding of how to put them in the right order and guide you from falling over the edge. So when you have more time, I'd like to get into the details about that, but you can take this with you. Have a nice day as the elevator door opens up. So I take the accordion and I bring it down. What am I relying on? I have a plan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, here you go. Just like that. Now, if I extend it out, it's still the same thing. So every system should be able to stand on really some sort of cornerstone, shrunk, expanded, whatever. So in this case, now what happens is you get cut off. Rebecca, it's Danny Griffin calling. We talked last week, and I know you were in a little bit of a hurry, but you had given me permission to send you out the information that you needed to help you sell your house the next time. Just want to make sure that it arrived. I don't ask, did you have any questions? I don't get all weird. I shut up. I'm authoritative. This is a plan. I get it to you. This is super valuable. Did you get it? You didn't get it. Oh my gosh, you didn't get it? Do you get the mail? I thought I confirmed this. You get the mail there? Okay. You didn't notice it was a big package of information. Really good stuff. Nope, I didn't get it. Oh, I got to get you another one. Maybe I'll just drop it off. Would that be okay? Whatever. But it's that enthusiasm for that next call. You start all over again and you pick up where you left off. Let's presume he did get it. Wonderful. Hey, by the way, right? By the way, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. And I'm not going to even wait for that too long. Okay. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it, but make sure you do. And maybe he will, maybe. Oh, by the way, I'm right back in charge again. Oh, by the way, it looks like a beautiful house. Why are you trying to sell it in the first place? Right? And I'm saying it the way Danny would say it. It's just a tone. But I'm really now going after you as a pro who's got a little bit of a different tone. Why are you trying to do this in the first place? Okay. I'm actually really now trying to see, is there a real reason why? Because if we're going to date for 3 to 6 months while we're trying to sell your house in a difficult market, okay, I need to know that you have a real reason to do this. And I need to know that you want to talk to me about that you're agreeable. Because I need to see if I can give you another step up on the value ladder. Hey, by the way, that's a pretty big reason. Were you thinking about like going right back to the market and trying to get it done? Yes, I was. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to get back on the market? I'm a 10. Look, I'm happy to stop by. And what I'll do is that package that I sent you, it's the information. But if I come over, I'll give you my insights on how to get it done this time and try to figure out what went sideways. But I have to see the product. Could I come over and take a look at it? So it's the value proposition just stated in somebody else's tone, their vernacular, their way. That's all it is. That makes sense? Like I'm still saying the same thing I said. You have a real reason to sell. You gotta have Gail in that house. I'm telling you, that stuff I sent you is the warm-up act. When she comes in and she starts to put her insight on it, tells you what to do and what not to do, you won't have to list again after you list with her, right? It's that enthusiasm for her now. And what value, it's not like, I love the way that Autumn is bold in selling me. Okay. But I still kind of want to backtrack with Autumn too and get back to, yeah, that's great. I don't want to be oversold as a person. I want my insight sold, that when this cat comes through your house, you will know what to do. Whether you hire him or not, you will know what to do. And you might not even like what he says, but he gonna give it to you straight. That's the message I want given about me before I arrive, because I'm at the point in my career where I want an audience that is ready to hear the truth. My Jack Nicholson moment, you need me on that wall, right? That's where I'm at. But that's me. Not everybody's there. Somebody that's a little bit softer, a little bit softer part of the country, whatever it may be. It doesn't, you can gear tone up and down, but fundamentally beneath us all is a process that if you cheat it, you're the problem. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Bravo, Rebecca. But you got to practice this now. You got to practice this now. You got to hear it in your own phone calls. If you hear repetition of the same old, don't give me those calls. I want you to give me a sample of a call where it goes right. And you know it goes right. Because if you have to go back and listen to this call, go back and listen to it. Until you get one that like, aha, that's what he's talking about. Because then I want to put it up here and I want to pull you up there. You know what I mean? Once you get it right, I want to pull you up there and hold you there. I don't want you to keep going back to this stuff and go, oh yeah, right. Oh yeah, right. And let's get up there and fight to stay up at that next echelon. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Next week, I will get you one of those.
Awesome. Superb. All right, Gil, good job. Questions, thoughts? Who's up next? Got a big crowd here today, so I would love to hear that somebody has something for me to analyze.
Danny?
Yes, fire away. Is that
It's Terry.
I thought so. Sound a little distant. How are you, darling?
Sorry. Good. So I have a question more so on the follow-up conversations as you're continuing to go along with Expired, and what that should really sound like, because I'm now starting to get people to answer the phone on, the second and third call that just aren't ready yet, and I just don't want to screw that up.
All right, Terry, here's the problem. When you sent me calls in the past, when you started doing some Expired phone calls, okay, you think you were saying what I teach, but you weren't, and it was subtle, which makes it the most slippery slope of all. You were so close that in your mind's eye, you think you're saying what we're saying here, and you weren't. So I would recommend highly you cheat specifically to it, because it sets up the second call a very particular way. So let me see if I can open this so I can show it on the screen too. Bear with. Let me see if I can get this, because I want, this is a really good teaching training moment. Okay. This is where the system and our understanding as a mastermind group of people really matters. Discipline in that very first part will make those follow-up calls more exciting for you, quite frankly, because it's almost like you're scared. Well, it's not almost like you are scared to screw something up. Okay. And you should never feel like that. There should actually be a total enthusiasm to call those people back first, above and beyond everybody else. And if we don't have that enthusiasm for them, then something is definitely off, right? Let me just, I have to shut a couple of windows. So when I listened to you before, it was the value proposition is what's core to this conversation today. So before I open up that mind map, tell me in your mind's eye, or just tell me, what is the narrative? What's the value in that first call? You tell me what you think.
The fact that they weren't able to sell and for various reasons, and how we can help them achieve their goal.
How can we help them achieve their goal?
Because we have a 7-step process. There's a lot of advertising that we do differently than other agents as far as they just pop it on the MLS.
Stop, I caught you. There you go. Where does that come from? We do a lot of advertising. Where does that come from?
Well, lately, in the conversations I've been having, these agents have just been putting them on the MLS and calling it good.
Hold on. That might be just fine. How about that? So you're making up a value proposition that I can poke holes in. Where did you get that value proposition from? We do more advertising.
It's just what these people have been telling me.
Yeah, but you're saying your solution is, oh, no problem, we do more. I know what they're telling you, but I'm challenging you, because I'm telling you where your follow-up problem is. You're making promises you can't really back up, and it's not as valuable as what I'm going to suggest.
Okay.
So tell me where you got it from.
I was just listening and trying to come up with a solution for their problem.
Okay, that's the training issue. That's what I was trying to tell you. There's no way that you can make that statement and be remotely close. Let me explain why. In my marketplace, as an example, 88% of the time, the marketplace called the multiple listing service is super efficient enough, 88% of the time, to bring me another co-broke who brings me a qualified buyer who together we all sell the house. Seller, buyer, 2 agents. 88% of the time. So,
and I agree. They just don't think so.
Hold on. Listen very closely. I know what you said. Okay? I know what you said. But you're letting the tail wag the dog hard. The tail is the consumer's perception. And their perception is marketing sells a house. Big time. It's the biggest crock of BS that's perpetuated in this business. Does marketing help? Yes. One of the best marketing things that we can leverage is the multiple listing service with now its digital syndication. Meaning if you take the time to take really professional digital pictures, floor plans, write up a really good narrative that hits the emotional buttons about the narrative, not a laundry list of what's in it. And if that goes out through the multiple listing service, that is marketing, Terry. So all the for sale by owners who are delusional that somehow they are going to be more efficient than that massive, powerful thing and market better on their own, they just got slaughtered. But it's their perception. And all these people, well, how are you going to market my house? No. How am I going to sell your house? I'm going to sell your house with a plan that has 7 steps, of which one of them happens to be marketing. But there are 7 steps that lead to this sale. So if you want to hear about all 7, I'm happy to go through them. So you gave it the cursory, we have the 7 steps. We're going to do, it doesn't work. I am a pro. I am really good at this. I never overemphasize marketing. I tell the truth about it. I say I check all the boxes in marketing I can. The first one is professional pictures, period, on the best sunny day, the best write-up, right? The best floor plans, because that's a digital footprint. That's marketing, Terry. That's marketing. And right off the bat, a lot of agents don't even do that to that standard. Your iPad and your iPhone are not a professional camera. They're not professional lighting. You're not a professional photographer. I know I'm a hobbyist. I hear all that crap. You are not a pro. That's marketing. That's a marketing decision. Those are marketing dollars. It is not cheap to have a pro come and do all this, but it is the right marketing step. That's all there is to it. Now you've gotten rid of all the riffraff who pretend that they can do it another way. Now you're up with all the big dogs who spend the money on the proper marketing for a listing. Now it goes in. Do they hire a professional writer or editor to walk through and write the narrative? We do. Okay. Another marketing choice. The words matter. The emotion matters. So now that goes up. Furthermore, I have a website where I can make it a featured site so that I'm going to be able to do other marketing things with it. But I'm more interested in syndication marketing. Syndication marketing means when I suck up, like out of MLS, when Zillow comes, Redfin comes, Danny's site comes, this one comes, when they come down into MLS, they pull that digital footprint. And the reason why it needed to be pro is because the minute it goes out there, it gets broken down into little pluses and minuses and all these things, right? And it has to repopulate on a website. And if it hasn't been done properly, the marketing is cooked already. Everything becomes pixelated. Everything is sized inappropriately. It's a mess. That's marketing. Have you ever understood that like that before? I bet not. Now you do. Don't ever, ever go back on explaining. That's step one. Step two is what you're referencing, and it's a very slippery slope. I call it push marketing. The first one, syndication. Get it all ready, boom, it syndicates. Okay. The next one is push marketing, which means what you do outside of the marketplace with that digital footprint to push it around on marketing. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, open house marketing. Everybody discounts open house. It is the number one way to push market it. And now you have the benefit of digital. When you do an open house, it pushes it out there again to the digital world. It's like a fresh piece of content. And then when you're in the house, a brochure, more marketing, okay? But you need to understand that very clearly, or you're on a very slippery slope. And you're not even there yet, okay? As the telemarketer, in my opinion, which is not so humble in this particular moment, you should never be going there. You shouldn't. See my point?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me come back now. That is Karen's job to fully articulate that. So Karen needs to know what I just said. Karen needs to be able to articulate that in the house or on the phone appointment that you get her. That's me. If they want to talk about marketing and they're not going to let me in until I can go there, I'm going to say it is step 4 in my 7-step plan, not step 1. If we don't talk about how to find the right asking price by going through some math and looking at this and getting the sweet spot, marketing's a moot point. MLS syndication, push marketing's a moot point. Okay? You see how quickly I was able as a pro to poke a hole in what you said? So what's happening is we're ending up in this weird place. You, Rebecca, Autumn doesn't really do it because we spend so much time talking about it, but anybody can get out there starting to get weird and they start talking about resume. Well, Gail's been doing this for 25 years. Who cares? Who cares? I have a plan for you. There's 7 steps. Marketing is definitely one of those. And I know your perception, like most sellers, is that's really important. So if Gail, Danny, right, Karen can come over and explain it, you will see how it fits in. Then you can make a decision on how to do it. But until somebody explains this to you, the most valuable thing I can do is get this plan in your hands. And if you want a little bit of a starter package for yourself, I'm going to include this stuff. So you have to understand that value proposition before we even get to the second call. Because if it's not fully clear on the first call, you're making it up, Terry. And I can't protect you. So like Rebecca not really taking hold of it, if you're making up your own things based on what they're saying, oh boy, we're in big trouble. You got me?
I got you.
Okay, so let's go back to this. It just goes like this. Terry, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. Hold on, let me put it up on the screen inside the group. You need to see it, okay? Tell me, are you on the phone today or are you on the screen too?
I'm on the phone.
Okay, so I'm going to read it to you, but I'm going to break down what's happening in slow motion because you did not sound like this in the calls I heard. Terry, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. I said it with authority. That is a law in Cialdini's book, The Law of Authority. I'm calling you because is a trigger word also in the same book. I saw your beautiful home online. Beautiful home is a compliment. It triggers the law of likability. Okay, so I have one of the most powerful trigger words in the English language because I lean in and listen. Am I in trouble? Is there something in it for me? It provokes a thought in my head. Beautiful home. Oh, sounds good. Complimentary. Law of likability. So in 2 lines, I have invoked 2 laws and a major power. So now they're leaning in. Now, law of reciprocity or gift giving. So I'd like to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. And now, because of this training call here, in the back of your head, you understand that what's being sent is this incredibly powerful plan. The organization, after all these years of real estate being done, somebody came along, chunked up the 7 steps the best we could, wrote detail, and want to give it to you. And it explains marketing. But it explains it as step number 4 that gets built up to. If you build up by talking about price, how to move up price, the pricing ladder in your case through better conditioning and better staging, then you arrive at a marketing discussion. Then and only then. Anybody else who puts it out of order, I can prove they're wrong. Price it wrong and watch what happens. Then it doesn't matter what condition it's in. Then it doesn't matter what the staging looks like. Then it doesn't matter how you put all that together. So we got the trump card at the top nobody wants to talk about, the white elephant in the room, how to price it right. So we're going to give you a plan that explains what to consider when pricing it right, and then how to move to conditioning to improve that, how to set the space to start to begin to highlight the narrative of the benefit of living here. And now that sizzle all arrives at marketing. And if that's all right, we end up at this communication phase, meaning the market is communicating with us. They're either coming to the place and giving us feedback or they are not. So if we hit that wall, we have to look back at what we did. Is there any problem? And typically we can go straight back to price. So you have to become attached to that 7 steps, not just it's this 7-point plan. Rebecca, Terry, Autumn, I bet none of you have really read it, right? None of you. Mandatory. All of you. Anybody. Mandatory. Read it. Because if you don't understand what curating information is, meaning making it easy for somebody and then giving it to them, you're already way off on your own value. And this is what it sounds like. It sounds like fireworks on the 4th of July gone bad. Everything's going off. They sound okay, but they're going off in the wrong direction. And the consumer's hearing this stuff all over the place. And they're getting agitated and confused. And an agitated, confused mind does nothing with you, right?
It's just noise. It's just noise.
You better believe it. And they hang up just like that lady did,
Yeah.
right? I got
right.
plenty of realtors because we just made ourselves sound like everybody else. So now, if I go through this, let's get to the second call. That's how deeply you have to think about the first call, Terry. This is not a casual thing, right? This is not casual. This is a very serious business proposition that we're laying out here. So I'd like to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that? Sure, that sounds helpful. Great. May I confirm the mailing address is such and such? Super. Oh, by the way, while I have you, well, you know what? I don't have a lot of time. Can you just send that to me? No problem. Let me just get it out to you. Now, I let some time go by. A week. I'll call you next week to make sure you get it. Yep, that's fine. Okay? I get her on the phone next week. Terry, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. We talked last week and I sent you out that information that'll help you sell your house. I just want to make sure it arrived. It did, Terry. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. So Terry, here's all I have to do now. Hey, by the way, I was looking at the house. It's beautiful. Why are we trying to sell it in the first place? And shut up. Just shut up. Because they will read their mind aloud because now the package has gotten there. And especially if they've received it, the law of reciprocity has kicked in. And now she's willing to give you the answers to your question because you actually gave her something. Even if she didn't do it, Dan Kennedy talked about this for years. Even if it arrives, it's a weighty package. You see all these bills that come and these letters that come, and all of a sudden one big fat package comes from Terry Legendre? That's a game changer. Even if they don't open it, the relationship has changed. I see Shaw Realty Group, right? And it arrives, and now it's here, and it's weighty, and it's like a gift. And when they open it up, and it's pretty, and it does have all this stuff that was promised, and then some, their expectations are blown. They have no idea. So now all of a sudden it arrives. You arrive in that second call so much better than what you were saying. So much better. It's not say, you could say to me, but Danny, I still got the package out the door. Yes, but your verbiage and your setup for its delivery sets up that second call so that when you're calling, now there's relationship. So now I go up the value ladder. Hey, by the way, why are we trying to sell it? She tells you, wow, it's a pretty big reason to sell. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated would you say you still are to sell it? I'm a 10. You know, here we go. Next value. You know, I'll tell you what, Karen is really good at adding insight to people's situation. The stuff I sent you is the information, but really you need some interpretation in your particular case. Would it be okay if I set Karen up to come out and take the nickel tour of the property? Because what she could do is she could definitely help you get it ready quickly and maximize the dollar without wasting time again. May I do that? So you just step up. It's all logical. Now let's say you get a rejection there. You know, Terry, I appreciate that. I'm just not quite ready. Downsell. So I go up to here. The meeting wasn't accepted. Well, great. When do you think you'd be ready to have Karen over? Man, I don't know. Give me 30 days. Okay. In the meantime, what I want to do is what I sent you in the package was a static shot of pictures and details of properties that sold around you. That's the stuff she'd be interpreting and what it means for you. I want to keep that coming to you electronically so that every time something goes pending or sold over the next 30 days, it's directly in your inbox. So would you mind just giving me your best email address so I could set that up in the meantime? So I have a downsell, but it's still value. So I can step up, I can step down, then I call in 30 days, I step back up. That's all this is. That's all it is. It's simple. And you all already do it. You just don't bring it to a conscious level, capture it, systematize it. Terry, questions about that?
No. I mean, I definitely have room for improvement, obviously. But even more so, my question, like people that are waiting a longer time because of, I mean, we've got a few older people that are really
What's that mean?
concerned.
Hold on. Don't be nebulous because I gave you an answer on out there. But what's longer mean? Because you took what you heard what I said, and now you take
spring.
Okay, that's a long time. So you can still,
Correct.
Depending on if you determine there's a real reason to sell. Okay, next spring is a long time from now. So this is a business decision, which is up to you and Karen to discuss. Okay. What is the reason to what we're talking about with Avatar? Let me just bring that up too, okay? What is the reason will depend on if that same offer, wonderful. What I'd like to do is keep you updated on two things because it's longer. One, we'll put you on an update on how the market's doing. We have a newsletter that gives a market update. I'll put you on that. But more specifically for you, it is important to see hyper locally how the market's doing so you get those solds and pendings between now and then. Only if there's a real reason to sell next spring. If not, you need to talk to Karen about that because I am not a fan of a bloated database. I'm okay with inside of 9 to 12 months, but there better be a really, really big reason to sell 9 to 12 months away. Otherwise, there are too many other people to help now.
Right. So these people, like the one couple I have in mind specifically, they are needing to get down to a 1-story. They're on a tri-level. They have a tri-level home, but they, due to their age, have expressed several times to me that they're very concerned as far as having people in their homes and doing the whole COVID thing, and they're okay to wait until next spring. They don't want to really go longer than that. And in their minds, as expressed, they're hoping there'll be a vaccine at that point, etc.
Okay. Again, a business decision, but what I'm telling you to do doesn't change. If you have a real reason to sell in the spring, which in that case, it sounds like you do, it's still the continuity value. The one-off value is the package that is sent. The one-off value is the consultation with Karen in the house. The continuity that binds the gap are the properties that continue to come from MLS as things go pending and sold. That's it. There's no more to it than that, Terry. Because then when you're following up till next spring, let's say you put it on a monthly follow-up, what are you referring to when you call them?
Well, Karen is setting them up for that. I'm verifying, making sure that they're, received it, because from the MLS it can go to spam, etc. And asking them if they have any questions about any of the properties being sent to them.
I wouldn't even worry about questions. I would just simply say, hey, it's Terry checking in. I don't know if you saw, and you should be studying this information with Karen once a month. How's the market, Terry? Actually, this month, it was pretty good. The average asked to sold went up. The days on market came down. Whatever Karen gives you as a talking point, so that when you call into that deal, you're not getting heavy into property specifics. You're simply saying, hey, the market, it's doing this. Oh, it cooled off a little bit, but we think it'll improve. A couple things in your neighborhood. And if you're seeing what they're seeing, it's even better. Hey, did you see that one on 123 Main Street down the street? Because there's no reason to go wildly generic once we've gotten specific with somebody. Because once they hear that generally the market's doing this, specifically your market's doing that, that's your only follow-up requirement. That's it. There's nothing more. Because if they have a real reason why, that matters to them. If you're calling up just kibitzing with them about nothingness, then we're not moving towards a clear goal. That help?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. But, Terry, I'm going to look privately for you, Karen, and I to hear calls that Terry Legendre made that follow these formulas. Because if not, we have to continuously close that gap. That's training. But I'm telling you, every telemarketer in this group, every salesperson in this group, we go based on our own perceptions. And see, the problem is we're letting the consumer perception dictate what our responses are. Oof, that is not a professional approach. Pros never do that. Pros think what actually works, and regardless of what the perception is, we come up with a real plan. I hear you. One of Autumn's great lines. I hear you. I know marketing's important, but in our world, marketing's only one of 7 things that are important. That's how you grab back control and authority of a process. You don't let the consumer's perception have you making up things. It's very dangerous because you couldn't defend it today, right? You couldn't. And I want you to be able to defend with enthusiasm that you will not let anybody over that moat wall, right? Because you are enthusiastically defending this plan. That's where I want you, not in that nebulous spot where you can get blown up. Or sound like everybody else.
Right.
Cool. Thank you for coming on and being proactive. I want the recordings now. And I know you want me to listen to them privately. That's fine. Just get them to me. Okay?
Yep.
Cool. All right, here we go. Next, I'll take one more, and then I didn't realize it was 2:11, and then I'll let you go. One more, or questions. Let's just go to Q&A about something. If you had something, there's a coachable moment here too, not just trainable.
Danny, I had a quick question. We were actually talking about that with Sarah this morning is, how do you feel segueing into after we've done our job as inside sales and booking an appointment, getting that face-to-face, and then the agent calling to either ask more questions and kind of changes.
Yeah, I hate it.
Me too. Okay, I just want to talk
I hate
that.
It. And let me talk to it. First of all, Wanda Oliver, if you are still in there, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm thrilled. Don't worry about the tactical stuff about Teachable, Mind Map. I will get with you one-on-one now that you're settled in, and we will get you all set up, okay? So if you could just acknowledge in the chat that you are still there, no sweat. I got you, okay?
I'm still here.
Yeah, good. Wanda, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally thrilled to have you. You know that, right? So
Yes.
no problem. Next week, you and I will personally go over this together. Okay.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah. Just try. I know it's like jumping on the back of a train, right?
It's trains in the train.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, I got you. Here's my arm. Okay. I'll see you next week. Okay, on the tactical side. Yeah, you'll crush this. Trust me, you'll be fine. All right, Sarah, SV. Let me come back to you. I don't like it because it's like this weird allowance for cherry picking. But let me dig into the setup first a little bit more. Okay. How are you setting them up, and how does it come to this spot? Tell me a little bit more about the logistics of it.
So it's been mostly buyer calls going into doing buyer appointments.
Yeah, good.
Once I've determined based on my questions and after I've qualified them, and I feel like they would benefit by sitting down with the real estate agent.
Sure.
That's when I make that, okay, you know what, this is what we should do. Every time we do set an appointment, we attach the phone call with the appointment notes. The agent can hear the questions I've asked, the way that the client is responding. So when the agent turns around and says, "Oh, I'll just call them," it takes away from meeting. Sit down, right?
No way. Is Sarah Corey on this phone call?
I'm on this phone call.
Yeah, no way. You tell Tarek, Steve, no way. You're allowing your agent to cherry pick something that your trusted BDAs are doing. I don't like it at all.
We actually have a policy where they're not allowed to, but we're having incidents of people doing it now. I think because they're trying to qualify based on COVID and seeing someone face to face.
What, like Sarah Van can't do that? Dave, Pat, they can't do that? What are they, incompetent?
No, I agree. This is someone I want to have another conversation with.
Yeah.
But this is just one of the things that bubbled up this morning.
Yeah, it's horrendous. You look like Keystone Cops, Sarah Van, don't you? Right? Like everybody's.
It takes the excitement away. So when I have to call the client back and says, "Hey, you know what? The agent's going to give you a quick call," the person's like, "Oh, we're after we've already selected location and time," and it takes the excitement away. So
the agents that are being given business on this team should absolutely never have the right to do so, ever. And if somebody keeps doing it, don't give them any appointments until they get the slap upside their head and understand that's not the way that this works, okay? Because it's hard enough to train the BDAs. By the way, if anybody hears BDA, ISA, telemarketer, they're used interchangeably in this group. Business Development Associates is what I'm referring to for the team in Canada. Metro City Properties, that's what they call them. Inside sales agents. I prefer telemarketers because you're telemarketing a message of value that's being accepted. So that's what I prefer. But having said that, you work hard enough to understand the value of meeting with this person, which I just finished saying is you do not want to buy a property in Ottawa without a plan in place and somebody giving you insight and guidance. Therefore, there's huge value in this meeting, period. And anybody that outbound calls that person again and changes an appointment should be fired if they do it more than once or even once after this call. That's where it come from, because it's too hard to keep this consumer moving along the value ladder to begin with. And now all of a sudden we have somebody's human discretion. Think about a Henry Ford assembly line, both Sarahs, right? That I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for this widget to come to me. And I look at it, I stop the whole assembly and say, I don't know if you sent me the right one here. What do you think happens to that assembly line? The whole thing breaks down. Now, in fairness to the outside sales agent, if Sarah Van starts bringing up crappy appointments, then when the assembly line is shut down for the night and we step back and have a meeting and we assess and say, Sarah, you keep sending me these people and I'm going on it because that's what we agreed to. But this happened, you didn't qualify this, you didn't see that. I'm okay with that self-policing mechanism, but I am not okay ever within the heat of the assembly line running, them having that kind of human discretion, ever. It's just who's running the asylum in that case, right? Sarah Van, were you looking for validation? Because sister, you just got it from the top of the tree, right?
No, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, yeah. It's how am I going to police you and help you if your stuff is coming back? How am I going to do it? I mean, you can't. In the same breath, I would love to be the person that's doing that more often than not in your company. I want to sit over their shoulder and listen to that phone call. If anybody does it in that company, I want that phone call. How about that? Let's see how quickly they're willing to volunteer those phone calls. I bet those are a disaster. And they're selfish.
I totally agree. I think also she's someone who's newer into the fold. So I don't know if she actually either trusts the process or has been exposed to it enough. So it's a conversation I'm going to have with her.
Here we go with the tail wagging the dog again. Even agents can do it inside the business. So we had externally talking to Terry, somebody's perception about marketing, and then we get all defensive, right? Well, my realtor's, really good. Oh, well, Karen's got 25 years of experience. Oh, well, these people didn't do any marketing. Oh, we do a lot of marketing. See, that's that knee-jerk reaction. Just listen. Well, good. Here's the good news for you. We have a plan. So you sit this new person down and say, whoa, slow down. We have a system here. Maybe we didn't train you well enough to understand. You don't do that. You just don't. Period. You go out and you do what you're supposed to do. And if what you're supposed to do doesn't work, you come back to me, Sarah Corey, and you give me the autopsy. And I ask you, did you exactly do this? Did you exactly do that? Because Sarah Van, you know what's going to happen with newer agents too. They're going to go out, screw something up, and blame you for a shitty appointment, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly what's going to happen.
I got it. So Sarah Corey, and I'm happy to take this burden on. Like I did it with and I didn't mean to even bring in Gail. I have failed Rebecca up to this point. I'm the problem because I didn't get that value proposition. Terry, I've been coaching her a long time. I failed Terry. Bang, bang, bang. You hear me pounding that value proposition in. That's my obligation. So Sarah Van, you needed to hear all the value prop stuff today. Make sure your enthusiasm for the buyer plan or the seller plan is there. Make sure you understand that when you send that buyer agent, they're going to add insight to that person's. You keep working on that. And Sarah Corey, whoever the agent is, now that agent goes out, do they know how to give the value proposition face to face? Do they know how to demonstrate that value so we get the signed client contract, which you're after in your case? Right? So it becomes independent training moments for each, that if they don't do it that way, how do we know where the problem is in the system? Got it, ladies?
Got it.
Yeah. Super. Super. But Sarah Van, thank you so much for bringing it up. And I'm not trying to hurt whoever the agent is. My sharpness in my tone is a protection of system, because it's only against the system can we all be held accountable. I'm not here to hold you accountable. I'm here to try to discover a system against which even I am held accountable. That's what I'm doing today as a coach and a trainer. I'm saying, wait a minute, did you do what we all have been listening to that works? If not, go to that. Because it's like if you start making things up, we have so many variables, there's nothing we can prove. And now it's just sort of like this nebulous BS coaching moment on top of a broken training program. So Sarah Van, I expect that you continue to evolve. And I know you're a pro, and I know you've been doing it for years, but to be open to refining it, making it more concise, making, your enthusiasm for the true value. Hey, look, that's why you came to, the team that you came to, is this fuller expression of your enthusiasm for value, right? You wanted to be a fuller version of Sarah Van, right? That enthusiastic, BDA in this case. Keep getting connected to what the value is versus just booking appointments. I'm trying to save you from that ugly world, right?
100%.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Sarah Corey, anything to add?
No, that sounds great.
Okay.
I'll be having a conversation later.
Awesome. All right, everybody, listen, that brings us way into OT, especially on a holiday weekend for all you Americans. You rock. Appreciate everybody being here. See, when you bring me these anecdotes, we can really go benchmark it against something. This group is doing phenomenal work, and we need to keep it up because it's working in my office. I have the best people, Laura and Autumn, in the world, and I appreciate them and how hard we work at it. And Laura will tell you after 15 years how dang hard it is to stay the course when you're getting assaulted from the outside, especially. Internally, we break down, externally, but externally for a lot of us, this COVID thing and all the violence in cities especially is an assault on a system, and it makes you emotional. It makes you stay away from your training. Don't do that. You get shot right through the head, proverbially, in this business, whether you're on the phone, face-to-face, once you start to get all screwed up mentally. Defer to your training. That's what we do here. All right? Peace.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
So much, Danny.
You bet all.
Danny, you need a
Thank
link?
you.
Dino, I'm going to do it in the car. I want to leave their house and give them some privacy and get to where I'm going. So give me 5 minutes, put it in my phone. I do it on the phone today. Okay.
I'll text you the link.
Okay, pal.
I'll see you at 2:30.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Great call today, Danny. This
Yeah.
was great.
Well, thank you, Allison. Thank you. I know you guys
Yeah,
are,
I
you guys
appreciate
are
it.
always, yeah, you guys are always,
Autumn, thanks for all the comments
Yeah.
and commentary.
yeah, Autumn's
It's been very
become my
helpful in chat
my
here.
color lady over in chat, which I appreciate.
Yeah, right.
Thanks,
Trying to support you, Danny.
Yeah, thank you, Autumn.
That's right.
It's helpful.
That's
Well, it's
right.
helpful, Autumn, that you also are refining your craft. And I think by typing it, it keeps us all right there looking at these subtle issues. So good work, everybody. Bravo.